Okay, so in today's course, we'll be covering on interview basics. Okay, so we'll look at different aspects of job interviews and different type of questions that are normally asked in job interviews. Okay, so this is not all exclusive like questions. So there may be other questions. Okay, for so the questions could be the discretion of the interviewer, of course. Okay, so the type of questions would kind of give an example of, let's say, broad, like a division of questions that could be asked in a typical job interview. Okay, so last week we covered on the application letter, or also called cover letter, and you also learned how to write a standard resume and standard CV. Okay, so for your last assignment, all you have to do is write a standard cover letter along with standard CV or resume. Okay, you don't have to write both, just one, either one is fine. All right, so that means don't make your resume or CV very elaborate. Don't include too many like formatting in there. Okay, assume that the company that you're applying for, so there's like two job positions available in the for the assignment. Okay, one is non-technical, an event planner position. Another is the Java programmer. Okay, so assume that the company is a large company with the application tracking system uh, installed. All right, so your application will first go through the system. We'll check for the keywords, okay, that is relevant to the job position that you're applying for. And only if when the system, the application tracking system, is satisfied, then you may like hear from the actual like a recruiter. Okay, uh, so that means make your application as simple as possible. Okay. All right, so I hope that is clear to you guys, because even having said that, I feel like I'll be getting like submissions with heavily formatted resume or CV, okay, with their pictures, with like a bars, like for any like a skills or uh, like for any technical skills. I've seen like students formatting those skills into like bars, like a metered bar, right? So, or the languages with this fancy formatting. You don't need to do that. For your personal, like going forward, if you know that your resume or CV will be read by an actual person, then you're free to basically format in human, readable format. But for this one, just stick with the standard format. It should do just fine. Okay, it will make your job easier, as well as mine. Okay, so let's assume that the application that you've written with your resume or CV is good enough for the company. All right, and consequently, you have been selected for a job interview. Okay, so you have been given a chance to prove yourself right. So on the paper, you seem just fine. Okay, you along with others who have applied to the job. Okay, so those of you who are selected, they seem fine from the paper. Now you have to get beyond that. Okay, rise above that and prove yourself worthy of the job position. Okay, so there's an opportunity. Now you have to prove yourself. All right. Okay, so again, so you are good enough on the paper, you're good enough for the job. Okay, that doesn't really guarantee your job, but that gives you an opportunity to basically prove yourself during that job interview. Okay, so job interview is not only an opportunity for the interviewer, the company, to basically select the best candidate for the job position, but it's an opportunity for you, all right, those who are applying for jobs. That's a good opportunity for you guys as well. Okay, through these job interviews, you can find out about the company, about the job itself. Okay, so what would you be doing like from what will be your everyday activities in that job? Okay, so what kind of company is would you be working for? Okay, So all of these things you would be able to find out. Okay, and also at the very least, okay, job interview can also be a valuable interview practice opportunity for you, especially for like let's say those like students who are still in like a college who has not like completed their education, or recent graduates. They might be applying for like tens, if not like hundreds of jobs after they graduate. Okay, so those interviews could be an opportunity to basically smooth out their interview skills. All right, how you answer it, how you present during interview. These things could be practiced in those interview as well. It would be kind of similar to, you know, if you are nervous about giving your presentation, all right? Those like if you get any opportunity to give presentation, all right, you can basically gain some experience and make yourself better in each of those presentation. Right? So many people actually get nervous during job interviews, and it's a common thing. And we'll be finding out about that in the coming slides. Again, how can you basically, make it better for you? Okay, we'll be looking at a few tips and tricks for you guys in the coming slides. Okay, so the term of like a interviewees or those people who will be giving their interview, where they feel the nervousness, uncertainty, fear, stress, all of these like emotions. The common term is called interview nerves. Okay, so during the midterm presentation lecture session, you guys went like learned about presentation nerves. Okay, so I'm sure like many of you, if not all of you, experience that presentation nerve to a certain degree. Some of you maybe felt really bad about it. Some of you kind of like felt it but overcame it. Okay, but I'm sure all of you actually felt that presentation nerve. Okay, so this term, like a synonymous to that for job interview, is called interview nerves. Okay, the same kind of similar thing would happen to people if they have to give job interview. Okay, so presenting themselves before, let's say, the company CEO or whoever will be questioning, the job interviewee. Okay, at that moment, that time could be filled with this strong emotion, this fear, this nervousness, sweating, like heart palpitation. All right, so it can get that that one's bad for some people. Okay, so again, let's look at few tips. How you can alleviate this this problem. Okay, some of the questions that you may have with regards to the interview. Now, again, this is not exclusive. Okay, so you may have, let's say, other questions that would kind of haunt you before your interview. Okay, so the questions that you may have that's kind of like keeping you in fear could be that's something to do with maybe dress, something as simple as that. Like what could you wear like the next day? All right, or if you've just thought, okay, I have like like a formal like a suit in my closet, so I'll just wear that. So the next morning when you try to, like, it's been, let's say, several months, maybe a year that you have worn that clothes, and when you try to wear it, it doesn't fit you. So then you are filled with fear, right? Or you feel that, okay, I should have washed that clothes. Okay, it feels like it's not that clean. So then also you get nervous. All right, all of these. Okay, some of the other questions could be, who will be interviewing me? All right, you don't really know. Right, so all of these uncertainties. Right, what sort of questions will I be able to give answers appropriately? All right, will I be rejected? All of these things could attribute to your interview nerves. Okay, usually when we put our stakes too high, then we get more nervous. All right, so if you take it easy, if we try to take it easy, all right, if we don't put too much pressure, let's say, if your thought is like, if I don't get this job, then I will not be able to pay my rent. I'll not be able to pay for food. If your thoughts are very strong like this, then the interview can be very nerve-wracking. All right, so try to normalize it. Okay, So maybe you have to give some positive talk, just like for the presentation. The positive talk could kind of like help you, like come to like in a settled position with regards to emotion, strong emotion, right? So similar techniques could be used for your interview nerves as well. Okay. So definitely, if you can just give your positive talk, give the positive talk to yourself. Okay, if you feel that nervousness, so you're not the first person to give any job interview, and you won't be the last person to give that job interview. There will be other people there who would be, answering questions just like you would. Okay, and also people normally get nervous. Similar thing as people would get nervous before speaking, before like audience in public speaking or giving presentation. Even people would say hundreds of presentations under their belt, they get nervous if they have to give any new presentation. All right, the same thing with the job interview. All right, so try to normalize your experience. Okay, it will help you in alleviating that nervousness even a little bit. Okay, so if you get a little bit of control, then that will help you in not only overcoming and maybe acing that job interview, doing excellent in that job interview. Okay, all right, so positive talk always helps. So the opposite would be negative talk, right? Some of the questions like, what if you fail this job? What if you can't answer questions? Right? Same thing like, you guys are young, so you may be kind of like, kind of tempted to ask like your opposite gender out for a date, maybe. You kind of filled with that nervousness. What if he rejects me, or what if she rejects me? All right? These kind of questions will be going around in your mind. Okay? So positive talk can help you. Okay, so again, preparation is the key here. Just like in any public speaking, if you are not prepared, then your nervousness will be magnified, at least from your end. Okay, when you're looking into your own mind, okay, the nervousness will be greater. All right, versus like you're prepared. You have looked over some of the questions, some of like common interview questions, and you have prepared your answers to those questions. You have rehearsed. You have already, packed your, the clothes that you'll be wearing for your job interview next day. Okay, you've already looked at or reviewed the location of the place and the time and the date. Okay, so you are on top of all of these things. Okay, so being on top of all of these things will kind of lower that anxiety within you. Okay, so preparation always helps. So give some time to prepare. Okay, so definitely, so during the job interview, okay, so your attitude should be positive as well. Okay, so don't go to your job interview with negative attitude, thinking the interviewer is there to criticize you, to nitpick on you, to look for anything that's wrong with you, to basically look for anything to disqualify you or basically not hire you. If that is your attitude, then you may not be able to do good in your job interview. First of all, you'll be feeling kind of fearful. You'll be feeling that anxiousness, that anxiety, right? Okay, so have a positive attitude. Say to yourself that that person is basically trying to see if you match the job position. And from the paper, with your resume or CV and cover letter, you have already established that. Now the interview is only a formal, like a platform where you have to prove yourself in person. Okay? Because the interviewer will basically asking you a few questions and you just have to answer them truthfully. All right? So that's what will happen in a typical job interview. All right? Okay, so have a positive attitude it will make a huge difference in your job experience. Okay? Even if you don't get a job, that's a secondary thing. At least you'll enjoy that experience of giving the job interview. Maybe with your positive attitude, okay, the interviewer or the company will kind of like remember you, that experience, and they will kind of like if there's like a similar vacancy later on, maybe a month, maybe 2 months from that job interview, if something comes up, then maybe they can contact you. Okay, versus like you having negative attitude or towards the interview itself, that may not leave a lot of room for later on, right? Okay, so at least for your own senses, okay, if you have the positive attitude and positive perspective, it will be kind of like easy, it'll make it easy for yourself. Okay, just at least for yourself, try to have a positive outlook. Okay, so here's some few examples here, having like positive attitude versus having some negative attitude. Okay, so in the first positive attitude, the interviewer doesn't want me to fail. Okay, the interviewer is not your like enemy there, or not someone who dislikes you. Most possibly, most probably, that's the first time you both met. Okay, so that's for the job interview itself. So that person is not really there to criticize you or to fail you. Okay, versus like a negative attitude or negative outlook would be the interviewer is looking for things to reject me. Very critical attitude. I'm not saying like there may not be any interviewer who would have that attitude. There can be. But at least from your end, if you have the positive attitude, okay, it will make your job easier. Okay? All right. Okay, a few more examples here. Okay, so these will be kind of like a self-talk, like a pep talk for you, okay, to garner some positive energy in yourself. Okay, you can say to yourself that interviewers are humans as well, human too, right? So just like you are giving your interview right now, someday before, those interviewers may be giving their interview as well. And we do, in terms of our like a life, we'll be giving we'll be working like many places and giving interviews numerous times. Okay, so that job interview that you'll be giving, that's not the first nor the last interview anyone has given. For you, it could be the first interview, okay, but definitely it may not be the last, and possibly and hopefully not the last interview. Okay, because we'll not, in course of our career, we'll not be working at the same place for life normally. Okay. All right. Okay. Also, like if you have a positive outlook, you can also think from the interviewer's point of view as well. Okay. Maybe like they can like empathize. Okay. People's anxiety if they see it. Okay. So normally when I see like students getting nervous, right? I feel like empathy as well. Okay. Because like I put like myself in that position as well. Okay, so if even if you like make a mistake, okay, if your attitude is not a big deal, okay, you can answer other questions more like like in better ways, right? So that way you can, even if you fall, you can rise and you can continue and get to where you want to go. All right, and also people, the same thing here. People normally get nervous, okay, and especially the those people with like a very like few years or no years experience at work, okay, which maybe just graduated from college, who are still working. I mean, who are still like doing their in college, okay. Them getting nervous, I think even the employers would be kind of like understandable in that. Okay, so from your end, even if you get nervous, okay, pick yourself and try to control the interview process. Because if you let the nervousness control you, okay, that will not be a good experience for you. Okay, so try to take back the control. Then I think there are various methods. I think in the next slide you'll learn about it, how to basically take control of the process. Okay, so don't succumb to the interview nerves. Okay, so normally when we think about interview, we think like a job interview is like a one-way street, where the interviewer, the company is just trying to hire us, trying to see what's good and not good in us, right? So it's actually a two-way street. Okay, you're also trying to find out if that company is a good company for you. Okay, so when you graduate, I assume like you'll be applying for several companies, several job positions, right? So if you get called for a few job positions, so then you'll be kind of like making up your mind about which company to work for. Okay, so you'll be looking at company, you'll be doing some research on the company, and only then like for those company, which kind of like maybe like you'll have your own preference. Maybe you'll give your preference to money, maybe, or give your preference to maybe career advancement. All right, all of these things could be considered. So you'll be looking at these things in your job interview itself, as the interviewer or as the company is looking for good things in you, okay, or good things in possible candidates. You're also looking for good things in the company. All right, okay. Okay, so here's some tips for you in order to basically decrease that interview nerves, or basically to-dos or some tips for your interview process. Okay, so don't be late for interview. All right, so normally employers do not like applicants coming late, even though in Nepal, usually it could be that they call like, especially for entry-level positions, okay? So Nepali companies are notorious for kind of wasting people's time, all right? They call like a bunch of people in a day, and they'll just give you saying like the interview will go from this time onward, and you'll have no idea what time you should go, all right? So you go to that interview location before that the interview time, then you'll wait for your name to be called, and you'll see like other candidates giving their interview, leaving, all right? So if you're lucky, maybe you'll get to give your interview, before. All right, so normally that, I personally don't like it, but it can happen. But regardless, okay? So go to that place of interview before your interview time, okay? That's different whether the company would waste your time or not. For your job interview, try to be early than late. Okay, and also decide on what to wear beforehand. Try it on the day before. Okay, so if you have any issue, then you can take care of it. All right, it's a lot better than finding out about that issue with your clothes on the day of your interview. Okay, so normally for any job position, okay, especially for job position that requires, let's say, bachelor's degree or university degree, normally employers would prefer the candidates wearing formal attire, right? So be wary of that as well and prepare it. If you don't have it, maybe think about, right, getting the formal wear ready for the job interview day. Okay, and also go over possible interview questions. Okay, they're online, like you can find like bunch, like hundreds and hundreds of sites with possible questions for job interview. Okay, so maybe you can go through some of the possible common interview questions. Like there may be like questions that would be particular to the job title that you're applying for. For example, if you're applying for a Java developer position, the type of questions, the technical questions would be kind of Java related, or kind of like Java system related, which will be different from like a, let's say, if you're applying for an event planner position. Okay, so do some research on relevant possible questions, and let's do some rehearse on or practice on those questions. Okay, so if you get that question or similar questions, you'll be able to answer effectively. Okay, we'll also be looking at how you can answer question during interview. Okay, that we'll do in the next or coming slides. Okay, some interviews they do like interviews several times. Okay, they'll have their first interview, second interview, maybe third interview. Okay, if possible, find that out beforehand. Okay, so if the company is doing multiple interviews, okay, you should know because you may be working and it could be that the schedule that they give you may be kind of like in conflict with your own job, like a schedule or your family obligation. Okay, find that out. Okay, and also some companies these days, and especially during this time, this pandemic time, they are conducting their job interviews online. Okay, so you will meet in, let's say, like a Zoom platform or Google Meet. Okay, so you'll be turning on your webcam and talking to your recruiter or the HR person in the company. Okay, so based on your performance, you could be hired, or there could be like several other interviews. Okay, maybe second interview with maybe somebody else in the company who will make the final decision, right? So find out about that. Okay, especially if you are applying for jobs overseas, this could be very applicable. All right, so you apply for a job in, let's say, Japan or Australia, maybe. Okay, so the how you will conduct or how they will conduct the interview will matter to you, because if they require you to physically go there, then that can take several days. All right, that can basically you'll have to take maybe like vacation from your or off from your current job position, or arrange different things, buy a ticket maybe, or if you can find out if your potential employer will be paying for all of these, or you'll have to pay out of your own pocket. Find out all about this thing beforehand. Okay, the more information you have, the easier it will be, and also consequently it will kind of relieve you from that interview nerve. Okay, so have as much information as possible. Also kind of think about the job position as well. Okay, does it really suit you, your skill set? Maybe you may have been you would be kind of like you are doing your IT major right now. Okay, if you apply for some like job position, does that kind of like is that applicable to your education, or is that something that you see yourself doing, let's say 5 years from now? Or are you like moving from one career to another career path? All right, so maybe you worked in, like, let's say Python programming, and you didn't like it, want to like switch to something else. Give it a deep thought. Okay, that will make it easy on your part. Okay. Okay, so the research in companies should be done beforehand. Okay, this is done when you are trying to apply for the job position. So before you write your cover letter, okay. So because the cover letter kind of should reflect on the company and the job itself, okay. So this position should be an integral part of job application. Okay, all right. However, again, if you have forgotten about it, it could be that you applied for a job and you didn't hear about it for maybe a month or two, and suddenly you hear about it, and you kind of taken out of blues. Okay, so who called me? Okay, you did apply maybe like 2 months ago, and you have no idea which company called you. All right, it could be like that. So you might have to do research again about the company that called you. Okay. I have a video here. I don't know if it will play or not. So this is about research and company. Okay, if I don't know if you will be able to hear the sound.
Preparation for an interview is obviously a big one. You have to do your research on the company. A little tip is to try and think of questions that the interviewers won't know themselves. You know, we love it when we get the question which struggle to answer because it really shows that the individual's gone and done the research, and just really sort of prepare yourself. And once you do the research on the brand, I think you get a feeling for what the company is all about. We really want to see that personal side of you in an interview, and if you convey that personality and all that innovative and creativity that we look for, then you're going to stand a great chance of getting into the group.
We would look to see if someone has really researched into who we are and what we do. It shows that they're motivated, that they're dedicated to wanting to work for us. If they've also highlighted certain areas that they're interested in, such as our training or such as certain areas that we work in, then that would also be brilliant.
The best thing that they can do is to read as much as possible about Cancer Research UK, you know, looking at our website about some of our targets for the future.
Candidates that have researched their particular business unit, our products, and know what we do, as well as how they can add value to the organisation, tend to set themselves apart from the rest.
We really look for candidates that have done research into Balfour Beatty. So have they looked online? Do they know about the business? Do they know about some key projects that we're perhaps delivering? Do they know about our values? Can they relate their answers to that? And do they, if they've applied for, instance, I work for the rail business, so if they've applied for rail, do they know about the rail business compared to our construction business and the differences between the two? So yeah, really look for people that know what they've applied for rather than just those generic applications to every business.
All right, so I hope you guys were able to hear the audio part of the video. Can someone verify that to me?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, I thought you were able to hear it. Sorry for that. I didn't hear anything from you guys. So I'll have to do something else. Or what I can do is I can edit this video and you know, this presentation lecture session. And when I upload it on YouTube, then I'll put this video as well. Okay? So I think, how does that sound? Anyone?
Okay,
You guys
sir.
can talk too. Okay, all right. So I think we are towards 148 or 150. Okay, so let's cover this one, researching the company. Then we will kind of give a pause to this topic, and you know, we'll continue it some other day. Okay. So, what entails researching the company? Okay, basically, you want to satisfy that the company is the good option for you, because when you'll be applying for a job position, okay, you'll hopefully you'll be applying for different companies, more than one company. Okay, so that time you want to make sure that the company that you choose to work, that you choose to dedicate your time and the effort and your resources is the right company for you. Okay, and you may have several questions. Okay, and those questions could be answered through your research about the company or about the job position. Okay, so if your expertise in, let's say, is in programming, okay, look for what type of softwares would the company is the company like engaged in producing. Okay, is it more something like a specific to some system, or is it like a network system? Something like, do you have interest in those systems? Okay, because if you have experience in programming in certain field, but you know, the company works for something totally different products. Okay, you may not, you know, like it could be, I'm not saying you would definitely, but it could be that you may not enjoy working there, or you may not enjoy working in that job position itself. So doing some research would kind of like alleviate, or you know, like in a sense relieve you from that prospect. Okay. Also look for the company's aims and values. Okay, does that align with your aims and values? Okay, so if you, let's say, you are kind of like motivated by environmental protection, and if the company is not really into it, or you are into, let's say, giving back to society, helping society, all right, but the company really doesn't do anything these days, you can find out about that through companies' social media sites as well. Okay, so more and more companies are active through their social media, let's say through Facebook or LinkedIn, than their company website itself. Okay, so when you're doing research, look at different, all of these resources, maybe Twitter. Okay, the company kind of tweets every day, right? So try to find information about the company that may help make your decision in choosing the right company to work for. Or maybe you're concerned about, especially for recent graduates, you will have like the education degree, but you don't have the like a years of experience, or you may not have like a certifications. And some of those certifications may cost a lot of money, okay, especially international certification, technical certifications. So you may want to find out if the company invests in its employees, okay? Like maybe talk to someone who actually works for that company, okay? Or this question could come up during the interview process as well. So towards the end of the job interview, usually the interviewer would kind of give opportunity for interviewee to ask any questions if they have any. Okay, maybe this question, you can ask these questions to the interviewer at that time. Okay, so look for any information. Just these questions are the sample questions here. Okay, so for your particular example, for example, like it could be different question that you're concerned about. All right, so again, the company could be active online. Look for this information or talk to someone who works for the company. All right.